Welcome to another video from Dr. Lock. This is a quick video to show you how you can order a key from the direct code and how come that code is important and how it can benefit you. Let's go. I just want to have a quick talk about direct codes and indirect codes. Now this chart right here is a whole chart full of indirect codes. All these codes that come along here, such as 060, 070, they're indirect codes. So what happens is you look at the front of your mailbox, front of your desk, and you see a little number. That's the indirect code that then tells us the actual depths and how to cut that key. All of these keys are cut by different depths and they've all got different numbers, sometimes even letters. So if you were to give me a code, for example, here I have some keys cut 168. So if I was to go down my chart down here and pull up number 168, these grooves would all be told here in these cuts. So to not get too confusing, what that means that if you have an indirect number, you can order keys from our website for a particular type of locks via the number, the indirect number. If you've had a locksmith out, and sometimes it's worthwhile doing, just recording that code. If you have, let's say, your house set to a fresh key and they've done one key throughout, you never know when it'll come in handy. So what you can actually do is request a locksmith give you that direct code. So here we have a key, for example, and here I have my chart. So if I was to go through and actually gauge up this key, it would give me a whole series of numbers. Okay, and then from those numbers I can then plot them into the computer to produce the exact same key to specifications as you have already. Now this will come in handy if you're doing work on common property, places. Well, take for example a bin room for a building. You're working on a building. If you record these types of codes or you write them on the receipt and give it to your customer, that customer then won't have to go get another locksmith when they lose the key again to pull the lock apart and redo it. If they've just got that direct code, which is simply the key blank and then the actual cuts, you can get another key cut. There is no actual indirect code, so you do have to have the key blank and the direct cuts to have a direct code, if that makes sense. So for this particular key here, if I was to put this through, here we are, here. If this particular key right here, if I was to put this through the gauge and gauge it all up, I would probably come up with an equation, something along these lines: LW4 3 2 1 1 2, as an example. Okay, now if I give this combination to a customer, they can then store it in their phone, store it on the cloud, write it on a piece of paper, put it in the safe, put it anywhere you want. But one day if they ever lose this key, they can go to any good locksmith or our website and just order a key and we'll send it out to specifications so that key would be exact. So that's where the benefit is. A lot of locksmiths don't record codes. I mean, the amount of times I've had customers say, oh, it's me from unit 33, I've lost my key again, can you come make me a key? We don't keep your codes. Any good locksmith will not keep your code. Even though we might do 100 locks for you, all with the same key combination, 5 minutes down the track we're going to be doing another combination and we just don't remember the codes. And we don't keep the codes for your safety, for the customer's safety and security. So if you are getting a locksmith out to do any work and you can get a code from them, or you see a code written on the bottom of the invoice, I like to give my customers the codes, often because it might save them a few dollars down the track. So if I give a code out, I tell them where it is, and because it's virtually the PIN number of that lock. So by having that PIN number, any locksmith can just take that and produce a key from it. So it is the PIN number. It is confidential and classified information. So if I give that to the customer, it can save them money. I might lose a few dollars in the future not getting to be able to pull the lock apart and only selling them a $10 key compared to maybe $40 or $50 pulling the lock apart, but it is in the customer's benefit, and I believe it's part of doing a good job, doing the right job, not milking the customer, just giving them a service where you've covered all bases, a professional service. So many times I'll give this to a customer and I'll do that on low risk doors, common area property, mailboxes, sometimes window locks, things along this line where in 6 months to 2 years they're probably going to lose the key again. So you can give it to real estates, strata agents, people building managers, body corporates, people along those lines who are trusted anyway, and most likely have master keys and sets of keys to operate buildings. So if you give, as a locksmith, if you give out a code like this, it can actually be better for the customer in the long term. And if you are a customer, then you store this information. You can even store this information in your phone under a contact. Let's say, for example, that you're going away on holidays and your best friend's looking after your apartment. You give them the key for the deadlock, which you use, but there's another lock on the door which you don't use. If you had that key code, you could simply just tell your friend to go to any locksmith and cut the key from this code, and then they would have the key for the second lock. If you needed to give your key to somebody, let's say in an emergency situation, you could give this code to that emergency person. Let's say you're in France on a holiday and your unit's flooding up with water, nobody has access, and rather than get your locks drilled open, you can actually give this code to, let's say, the building manager. He can get it cut by his locksmith and access your apartment, and then you can change the locks afterwards. So by having this code as your PIN number, it allows you to be able to, over the phone or on a document, transfer that actual physical metal key into something that can be used. So this is a direct code, and I call it a direct code. I'm pretty sure that's the right terminology because we've got our key blank here. This part here is our key blank. This part here is the actual grooves on the key. So that's an absolute direct code. Indirect code, as I said before, it's got a number which corresponds against our chart to give us this information. So how's this handy? Well, it's handy in a lot of ways, as I just stated. We also do offer this service on our lock shop. So if you go to our lock shop and you have an indirect code like this, you can simply order a key and send it out. So it can be used in many different fashion. But the one thing I do advise, if you do give a customer a direct code, let them know it is a direct code and it's important, and to keep that information safe. Other than that, yeah, if you have a direct code, we do keys to code for cars, but not for direct code. For direct code, it's just simply house keys, window keys, small keys along those lines, and you can actually get your code either via a locksmith. You could take your key into a locksmith, let's say this key right here, any locksmith, and say, give me the direct code from this. You then could then pass this information across the world with a phone call, a text message, whatever you want, and then they could produce that exact same key. So that's the benefit of having that information. There are key gauges and things along this line. If you do have them, and if you're one of these people that likes to rekey your own locks, then yeah, you could decode it and get a key cut from the actual direct code as well using our service. If your key has a number on the actual key blank, a lot of that time that number's not exactly correct, so don't trust that as being your key code. Key code is made up of two parts. First one is the key profile, which is the actual shape of the key. The second one is the direct cuts. So it's all very straightforward. Any questions, please email, and you can order this online at drlock.com.au. Thanks for watching.